Welcome back to Community Storytelling Season 5. I'm Lissa Kreisler. As you know, I'm just so thrilled to be part of this show. Linda Lester is our sponsor. And it's so important for everybody to get a chance to share their story. And what I've learned in the 5 seasons is everybody has a story. Some of them very powerful, some of them exciting, some of them funny, and some of them start with a sadness, but by the end of the interview, you'll be smiling on this one, I promise you. We have a remarkable lady here sitting next to me, my new friend. She's going to be your friend too. Maybe you already know her since she is so active in the area. Jennifer Sarmento. And Jennifer's got a story that you may need Kleenex for. In fact, I was looking in the studio to see if there was a box someplace, and there's not. So if you see me wiping my eyes, just bear with me. We'll get through it. But this is a story that would be hard for any parent to listen to, actually for anybody to listen to. But as a fellow mom, you've touched me without you even opening your mouth, because I know what's to come.
Thank
Jennifer,
you.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Where do we start? You had this wonderful boy named Kyle, and you had him for 18 years?
18 years and 11 months.
And then
Drive his 19th birthday.
that day came. The day came. It seemed like a normal day, right? He went to school. He's a graduate of Lee High School, which is my alma mater.
Mine too.
You're
Go Longhorns.
just a little younger than me, but the Longhorns a lot older in my book. But Kyle graduated and was loved by all. We'll get into that. Was at West Valley College studying
It was business.
business. Every young man wants to go into business.
Yeah.
He was doing his thing and said, "Mom, I'm off to see a friend."
Yeah.
You tell the rest.
Yeah. So, like you said, Lisa, the day started off like any other day in our house. Kyle jumped out of bed late as ever, getting ready to go to school, and ran out the door. And he came home that afternoon, and we chatted about his day and about his, he just started a new semester at West Valley, and we were talking about his new teachers and everything. And so, Mom, I'm going to go over to my buddy's house over in Santa Cruz and play some video games. I don't have school tomorrow. Going to head over the hill. I'm going to probably just spend the night, that kind of thing. Just a normal conversation that we'd had so many times in our afternoons together. And I said, I think that's a good idea. You're going to spend the night driving over that crazy 17.
Yes.
And he grabbed a little backpack, said, "I love you, Mom," gave me a kiss on the cheek, and walked out the door.
Okay, you're already getting to me. And then that was the last time you saw him as you knew Kyle.
That was the last time I saw him.
And then was it the same? Was it February 18th?
February 22nd,
February
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And so it was probably 4 o'clock or so in the afternoon when he left.
About 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah.
And when was that phone call?
It was about 6:30 in the evening. I was walking with some friends in the neighborhood. We were just a couple moms out getting some exercise, and my phone rang, and on the other line was one of Kyle's friends, and said that they had found him collapsed and not breathing, and he was being rushed to the local hospital in Santa Cruz.
Dominican?
Yeah, Dominican hospital. Yeah. And I thought, what are you talking? I couldn't wrap my brain about what was being said on the other line of the phone, because I was like, I just saw him a couple hours ago,
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. So I called my husband. He came and picked me up. We went over there, not knowing what had happened or what was going on. And
that drive over there.
That was the longest of my life.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Because I did experience something similar, but with much better circumstance. But the drive.
Yeah.
The drive.
Yeah. I spent most of the drive thinking about what could have possibly happened. Boys sometimes can be boys. Were they doing something silly? Did he, injure? Like, what happened? I didn't know what had happened. And I mean, I even said to my husband jokingly, I said, when I get there, I'm going to kill him. Because I was so upset and just worried about him. And walked into the emergency room, and he was surrounded by doctors and nurses, and was not conscious. And that's when I heard sudden cardiac arrest.
Yeah, SCA.
Yes, SCA.
Did you have any idea?
No.
And
none.
And
No.
it sort of surprises me a little bit. I don't know much about sudden cardiac arrest, but he was such an athlete. And he must have had a physical every year. So is it something that you cannot detect?
Yeah. So sudden cardiac arrest for one, is different than a heart attack, because I didn't realize there was, those words are sometimes interchangeable. So sudden cardiac arrest is just that. It's a sudden stop of your heart. And most of the issues, especially in youth, cannot be heard through a stethoscope. So our current physicals and pre-participation physicals miss about 85 to 90% of the issues that could cause cardiac arrest in youth. So like for Kyle, his was structural. His heart was slightly enlarged that we didn't know. And other issues are electrical issues. So they have to be seen on an EKG or an echocardiogram to detect them.
Did he pass away that night?
No, about 2 days later. We had a little bit of hope that he was making a little bit of a progress, but unfortunately, by the time his friends had found him, so what had happened, they were playing video games. Kyle got up to go in the other room. They were all busy playing video games, weren't really paying attention, and they said about 20 minutes later, they realized, where did he go? So they went looking for him, thinking maybe he decided to go home, or so they're searching the house, and they found him in one of the rooms, collapsed on the floor, and so then one of his friends jumped in and did CPR. So they did get him breathing, but he had been down too long without any oxygen to his brain, and so that Saturday, February 24th, is when he passed away.
How did you go on?
I didn't.
I know you have another child. You have a daughter,
yes,
right?
I have a daughter, yeah.
So you do have someone else, and you have a husband. But I don't know, as a mom, how do you go on?
I didn't know at the time how I was going to go on. But for me, I knew, as a mom, what I call your mom energy. You have your energy put towards your children, right? And he was 18. He was just leaving the nest. He was just starting his life. So I still was very much involved in his life. And so I knew that I had to do something to continue his life. Even though he wasn't going to be here physically, I had to do it in a different way. And so that drove me. I mean, and believe me, there's days I don't make it. I still can crawl up in a little cry,
right.
So it's hard. It's very hard.
And I did a little bit of reading about Kyle, and he had, I know, this saying that you loved. I'll let you repeat it, because about life in a lifetime.
Life only happens once in a lifetime.
I mean, think about that for a second. How a young man could even come up with a sentence like that. Life only happens once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
And how true is that?
Yeah, and that's exactly, he was that. He lived his life to the fullest. He did some things that would, after the fact, jumping off cliffs or, doing different things. And I was always like, oh my gosh, and never in a million years did I think that it would be something with his heart.
At what point did you say to yourself and your daughter and your husband, we're not letting him be forgotten. We are doing something to make his life mean something to everybody?
Yeah, I said that early on. We were still in the hospital. So even after he was, we did organ donation. So we were in the hospital for a few days with him, even after we were told that he was not going to survive. And I told my husband that then. I said, this isn't the end for him. It may be for him physically, but not, I'm just going to continue in a different way. And so I knew that early on. I didn't know what that meant at the time. And, fast forward 5 years of the work we're doing now, but I didn't know what I know now. And so.
Fast forward 5 years? No. Fast forward 1 year.
Yeah.
Within 1 year, you had already made some decisions.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Well, when being a bereaved parent is not something every parent, thank goodness, has to experience, right? And it's a grief that no other parent, if you haven't been through it, you don't understand it. And so it changed me, who I was. And for me, I had to do something for my community, because I didn't know anything about cardiac arrest. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that healthy young kids, young adults could pass from it. And then you Google it and all these things came up.
Well, and I had to Google CSA. I didn't even know what that meant. SCA, sudden cardiac arrest.
SCA.
I mean, who knows that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we do now, but who knows that?
Yeah, and so for me, I just, I thought, well, if I didn't know this, and I pride myself, I'm very involved with both of my children's lives, medically, all the aspects of their lives. And so I thought, well, if I didn't know this and I've never heard of this, there's so many other people out here in my community that don't know this. And I grew up here. My kids grew up here. Like I didn't want to sit by and not help in some way, at least just bringing awareness to it. And then when you start doing the research and that's when I knew that was what I was going to do, and that was going to be his life journey now.
So is that when you started the Kyle J. Taylor Foundation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah. So, about 3-4 months after he passed, we kind of started working on it because I just needed somewhere to put my grief. I just needed some outlet for it. I needed to find some purpose in my loss because if I couldn't, otherwise, if I didn't have something to do for it.
But you had a specific goal in mind with the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just foundation and we're going to give money away.
Yeah.
You are doing something so important with that foundation.
Yeah.
So let's go through the steps.
Okay.
I mean, it's amazing.
Thank you.
And I would assume if anybody, I just Googled you, and if you Google Kyle J. Taylor Foundation, it comes up, and it's a wonderful website, by the way.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful website. And I have to say, before you get into what it does, I looked at the board members. Mm-hmm. Almost made me cry again because I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. You put on the board Kyle's best friends. Mm-hmm. And his sister, mm-hmm. and you, of course,
yeah.
and I think your husband.
Yeah,
your
my
husband's
husband
on
too.
it too.
Yes, yeah.
But to put these young people on something so important and something so meaningful, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. Kyle was very blessed with the people in his life, family-wise and friends. His group of friends, girls and boys, were just an amazing group of young people, and we are blessed that they're still very involved in our lives. And so when we started this foundation, they eventually all came to us and said, we want to do something, because they wanted somewhere to put their grief of losing their friend. I mean, some of the kids have been friends with Kyle since kindergarten, and so it was a big loss for them. I mean, Kyle loved those. He called all of his guy friends his brothers. Those were his brothers.
Classmates and sports players.
Yeah, exactly.
And, Friday night buddies.
Yes.
And in fact, there's so many things I learned. I loved how you changed the spelling of kind to KYND.
Yeah.
And in fact, I might just start spelling it like that all the time
I prefer it that way. Yeah. Well, that was one of the words, that was used over and over again about him when he passed. And as a mom, the world that we live in now, for your child to be remembered as being kind to people.
Yes.
I wanted to remember that and to honor that. Because that would make me so proud as his mom, just to hear that about him. And his friends called him Kai, because we had about 12 Kyles in his grade at one point. So his nickname was Kai, and so we just kind of combined the two, and that's kind of how we came up with the Be Kind to Your Heart. So
you know what, we're going to go through the foundation because you're going to be so interested in what it does and how important it is, especially if you have young people. Sports players, students, whatever. We're going to take a quick walk to Leicester Square because I got to get my coffee. And then we're going to come back, and Jennifer, we're going to do part 2. And this time we're going to concentrate on the Kyle J. Taylor Foundation. We'll be right back. You're watching Community Storytelling. I'm with Jennifer Sarmento, and I'm Lissa Kreisler. So here we are at Leicester Square. I'm busy today. Started with Phil's Coffee, of course. I've already ordered my lunch from Super Duper. They'll be bringing it out to me curbside. I dropped off Toby Tobes, my cat, at the vet. He needs a rabies vaccine. I'm looking at the signs. We've got an MD, we've got attorneys, we've got realtors here. Leicester Square. Linda Lester, thank you for all you do, not only for Los Gatos, but for building this square for me. I told you we'd be right back. Thanks for joining us and staying with us. Community Storytelling Season 5, I'm Lissa Kreisler, and we're sitting here with a mom who's got a story to share, and it brings tears to your eyes, but it also brings this wonderful satisfaction in your heart, knowing what this young man left a legacy behind, Kyle, because he's got this foundation and you are doing such wonderful things with it. So where do we begin?
Oh gosh.
Where do we begin?
Well, we kind of have 3 main areas that we concentrate on, bringing awareness to sudden cardiac arrest in youth, is the heart screenings that we do. With those, we bring in the ECG machines or EKG machines. It's the stickers on your chest, and we run those. We also have echocardiogram machines that we own that we bring in. So we set these up.
You own these machines?
Uh-huh.
You bought these machines?
Yeah, we've done a lot of fundraising.
Yeah, well, that's
hoping
the name
to get
of the
some
game.
more. Yeah. We only have one Echo machine, but we're hoping to get some more. But yeah, so we have portable EKG machines that we bring in, and then we have medical volunteers that come to these events for us, or just volunteers that come and help run these events for us.
How many kids do you think have SCA?
Well, we've screened over 2,000 kids since 2019, and we've identified about 24 that have some type of an abnormality in their heart. Some of those may not put them at risk for cardiac arrest. I would say probably a third of those probably are at risk for cardiac arrest. That was never identified at any point.
I sort of can't understand how our school districts are lagging, are behind in this.
Yeah.
It's life or death.
Yeah.
And I would think a little more should go into the physicals that these kids have before they play school sports. Now, is that changing?
It is changing. So we're very lucky. We just got the Campbell Union High School District to be the first public school district in the state to actually require this as part of their athletes' pre-participation physicals.
Fabulous.
So we have just, we've screened about 1,000 of their students already, athletes. Going to screen their spring athletes in the springtime, but all 9th and 11th graders, as part of their participation in sports, will have to be screened.
Is there any way to go to Sacramento and get a law requiring every school district?
Yeah.
You've probably thought about that.
Yes.
Like you don't have enough on your plate.
Yeah. And there's some great foundations throughout our state. I mean, I'm not the only one doing it. There's some other great ones doing some great work, and there's some pushback because there's some people think it's rare because it's not talked about or it's not heard about, or kids that are healthy don't need to be screened. And my thought is, well, it should just be kind of part of, like, for us, like, we're a certain age, you have to have a mammogram or you have to have certain things at a certain age. So why isn't that just part of our children's thing, right? That's probably another whole episode in itself to cover.
Yeah. I mean, it is something that's doable.
Yeah, it is.
It is so doable.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating, but I see the results that we get. I see the results of other foundations in our state and across the country that are doing what we're doing, and I know that they work. I know that it identifies kids. So I'll just keep doing what we're doing until that changes otherwise. I mean, I hope that someday...
We got you, Kyle. Yeah. We got you. We're looking after your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have potentially already saved 3 dozen lives. Potentially. Maybe nothing, but you got the potential.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
Yeah.
And
we donate AEDs to sports programs. Yeah, so portable AEDs. So schools are required to have an AED on campus, but most of them, unfortunately, are either in an office, like a nurse's office or the front office. And so when school's out of session, those are all locked up. There's sports going on hours at a time after school. And so we wanted to provide an AED that can be brought out to the fields with these kids, just as part of like the first aid kits that are brought out, right?
Sure.
Or the equipment that's brought out. And so we have donated 15 AEDs in the community so far, portable ones, to just help with that and give schools extra ones to have, because every second counts. To do that.
And the third thing?
The third thing is we provide CPR and AED training and certification. So I'm also a Red Cross certified instructor, CPR instructor. So we do that. But a big chunk, especially since we got the Campbell Union High School District on board, and we do have other school districts interested in doing this, that takes probably, I would say, 75% of our time with the district, with our foundation. But.
So what can we do for you? What, everybody's watching now and they're saying, geez, I love this. In terms of giving you money, tell us what we can do for you.
Sure. Well, we are run 100% through donations, sponsorships, and donations. So you go to the Kyle J. Taylor Foundation website, which is kylejtaylor.org. You can donate to us. Any amount helps. It costs us about $40 to screen one child. So even just a $40 donation makes a huge impact on us. Or even just talking about it with kids. That's another thing I always tell parents. Talk to your kids about signs and symptoms of their heart and things that they're feeling, because kids are always don't know to speak up. Talk about your family history. Just have those conversations. And there's a lot of information on our website of the signs and symptoms that people can look up. But yeah, we've got lots planned for the next year, hopefully. And but yeah,
that's wonderful.
Anybody can help. And we have a golf tournament we do in the summer. If anybody likes to golf, that's our big fundraiser we do every year. So. Yeah.
At the age of 18, Kyle left behind something very special.
Yes, he did.
He did leave a legacy.
He did.
He's going to save lives. And he already did the day he died. You said you gave away some of his organs.
Yes, he was an organ donator.
Remarkable young man.
He's saved 4 people right there. So, yeah, he was an amazing young man, and now everybody's getting to see him, even though he was very humble and would have hated his picture being everywhere.
Yeah, go online. You'll see his picture everywhere.
He's very handsome, but
you'll see him growing up through the years. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Thank you for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
Because I don't even know if I could do that.
Yeah.
Thank you for look at you. Me. So you found hidden strengths you didn't even know that you had.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Sarmento. I mean, like I said, everybody has a story, and hers is quite a remarkable one, and Kyle's living on with us, which is wonderful. You know the drill. You know how to get nominated or nominate someone or whatever. You go to KCAT.org, go to community storytelling. It will take you a few minutes, maybe 2 at the most, and then I'll be sitting right next to you. Thank you so much for being with us. Community Storytelling Season 5. I'm Lissa Kreisler.